Hey everyone, welcome back to Nova Pain and Rehab Center. So today we're going to continue our mobility series talking about mobility for the wrist and for the elbow. These are two conditions we treat quite often, not the most common conditions we may treat, but there's some very, very simple things you can do to alleviate a lot of the problems that we see associated with the wrist and the elbow. So we'll go through 4 different stretches today. We'll give you some anatomy, so we'll show you what we're stretching, and then we'll go and close it up. So again, today is for mobility stretches for the wrist and for the elbow. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so let's talk about the wrist first. So in extension of the wrist, we're going to be stretching this muscle here called the flexor digitorum superficialis, and then this one right here called the flexor carpi radialis muscle. These are two of the main muscles that flex the wrist. Most wrist conditions deal with chronic flexion of the wrist. So this is a person who sits at a computer all day with a slight flexion condition of the wrist. Meaning the wrist is bent forward. Also, people who sleep with their wrists bent in. This is another common thing that we see associated with carpal tunnel. So this is a very, very simple stretch for the wrist to open it up. Okay, so let's get into that. Okay, so we're going to do 2 ways today. One way is just simply on the floor, and you can do this on the floor, on the wall. You're going to take your hand, reverse it, so palm is down, fingers face the opposite direction, so face to your feet, and then put it down and just simply lean into that. So she's pretty flexible on the in her wrist, and just lean into that and get a good stretch. I never ever recommend flexing the wrist the opposite direction into flexion. It's a very weak position for the wrist, and this is where we see a lot of fractures when people fall on their wrist. So right now we're just stretching the wrist out. This is something to definitely do bilaterally. If you have one side tighter than the other, you can stretch both sides. Okay, and let's bring that up and we'll show you another way to stretch it. So a very simple way to stretch throughout the day is just take your palm down and then bend your fingers back. Get a nice stretch through the wrist. This is the most important carpal tunnel stretch, so if you do experience a carpal tunnel type condition, this is a very, very easy stretch which will really help to alleviate a lot of these similar conditions. Okay, so the next one we're going to get into today is for the bicep. The bicep break, I know you have 2 muscles that make up your biceps. You have your medial bicep and your lateral bicep. Again, these are very tight in most people because they're never really stretched, and people tend to have a flex position of their elbows. So we're going to show you a really good way to stretch these muscles today. Okay, so with this, the key with this is take your hand and grab a bar or a door or a rig with your thumb facing down. So point the thumb down. Okay, and then you rotate your body the opposite direction, so you're going to rotate your body to the left, and then you push your elbow to the floor, so push down. So you're pushing your elbow down. You're going to get really nice stretch through both of those bicep muscles. The key with this one, and you want to make sure the thumb's pointed down. Haven't figured out, if you pull the thumb up, it's not nearly as ineffective of a stretch. You want to have the hand about at the same level as your shoulder. And then you just again push that elbow straight down to the floor, and you get a really, really nice stretch through the biceps. Okay. So next one we're going to get into today, the tricep muscles. And so the triceps, let me take this back here. There's actually 3 tricep muscles. You have your medial, lateral, and middle tricep. These are elbow extensor muscles. There's a couple different ways to stretch these. This is just probably the easiest one because you can do this on a door frame. You can do this really anywhere. So what we're going to do is she's going to bend her elbow, lean up so the elbow is actually in contact with, in this case, this rig. Oops. And then push yourself into it. And so what's going to happen is you're going to see the hand kind of drop down in the back, and you push yourself through. So if you're really flexible, you're really going to get some extension through the shoulder with this. Most people, this is going to be pretty tight. Okay, so very easy way, effective way to stretch the triceps, and again, it can be done either at home or in office with really no equipment at all. All right, and so the last one we're going to get into is a very common stretch that we talk about pretty often here, and that's the pec major muscle. Right there, so the big pec muscle. This also is going to deal with the anterior deltoid muscle a little bit, but just a really, really good general stretch for these areas. Trying to open up the pec muscle and get the shoulder pulled back a little bit to alleviate pressure on the arm. Okay, so with this stretch, just going to simply take the arm up, elbow at about 45 degree angle. There we go, and then push through. So the same leg is going to be forward, and you're going to rotate the body to the opposite side. That's it right there, and then you're going to feel a really, really good stretch all the way through the shoulder into the chest. With the stretches, usually I recommend holding them for about 8 to 10 seconds. Make sure you're breathing through the stretch. Come out of the stretch and get back into it a couple times. And then, for things like this, you usually want to do it bilaterally or on both sides. However, most people definitely tend to be a lot tighter on their dominant side, so right side for most people. But want to loosen up that left side as well. Okay, fantastic. Okay, so hopefully this will give you guys some things to do. I mean, these are stretches that everyone can do to help, especially if you're sitting at home in your new workstation at home. Things to do throughout the day just to kind of get you loosened up a little bit. If you have any problems with these, or these are just not working for you, this is something that you might want to contact us directly. We can help with. All of our videos are on our Facebook page and on our YouTube page. You can get to our Facebook page through our website. We have 2 different websites. Our Arlington location is www.novapainandrehab.com, and our Purcellville location is www.novarehab.com. Hope you all have a healthy day. We'll see you next time.